Apple iPhone 15 camera test. Peace be upon you, my dear friends and followers of the channel. How are you today? I hope you are well and in good health. Today with you is a beautiful, new and important video for everyone. This video will be called the Apple iPhone 15 camera test. But before watching the video, subscribe to the channel and like and share so that it reaches the largest number of people. Now let's watch the video and I hope you like it. We put the Apple iPhone 15 through rigorous XMark camera tests to measure its performance in photo and video quality and zoom from an end-user perspective. Please note that all iPhone 15 sample images in this review have been converted to JPG format. Image quality was analyzed using the original HIC files. For both images and video, the best visualization pipeline for an optimal HDR experience is described in the article. Overview. Main camera specifications. Primary camera, 48MP sensor, f/1.6 26mm equivalent lens, dual pixel f/OIS with sensor shift ultra-wide camera, 12MP sensor, 13mm equivalent f/2.4 lens, A16 Bionic chip. Pros: vivid brightness and contrast when viewing photos and videos on an HDR display delivers natural, pleasing skin tones and colors, especially in bright light. For photos and videos, accurate depth estimation and efficient segmentation of fine details in portrait mode. Low noise levels in video mode. Effective video stabilization. Smooth zoom in preview. Cons: fairly high noise levels in the image, especially in the shadows. Somewhat limited zoom capabilities. Slightly limited dynamic range in photos and videos. Some fine details are lost in low light videos. Effects, including glare, animated texture, in low light, and aliasing just like its sister iPhone models. In our tests on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max, the iPhone 15 proved to be a very reliable camera, producing bright and vivid images when viewed on HDR displays. It particularly excelled in terms of exposure and color, in both photo and video modes. This is the first time Apple has used a quad-layer image sensor in non-Pro iPhone models. And as in last year's iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max models, in the iPhone 15 it helped improve image quality and allowed for a smooth 2x telephoto zoom. This has resulted in a significant increase in the degree of magnification. However, the camera still lags behind the Pro models in terms of zoom performance, due to the lack of a dedicated telephoto module and the smaller maximum aperture on the ultra-wide module. Test summary about XMark camera tests. XMark camera evaluations are conducted in laboratories and in real-world situations using a variety of subjects. The results are based on objective tests, the results of which are calculated directly by measurement software in our laboratory settings, and on perceptual tests, where a sophisticated set of metrics allows a team of image experts to compare aspects of image quality that require human judgment. The smartphone testing involves a team of engineers and technicians for about a week. Image, zoom and video quality are scored separately and then combined into an overall score for comparison between cameras in different devices. For more information about the XMark camera protocol, more details about the smartphone's camera scores are available here. The following section brings together the main elements of XMark's comprehensive tests and analyzes. Full performance evaluations are available upon request. At this year's main event, Apple focused specifically on portrait photography and a new feature called Smart HDR, which appears to be a combination of an improved HDR algorithm at the capture level, and a new file format that allows select images to be presented on HDR displays. We evaluated the iPhone's HIC files with embedded HDR data using the Photo app on macOS Sonoma and an XDR display. Other important updates include moving from 12MP image size to 24MP by default in most lighting conditions. In our tests, this resulted in a significant improvement in the balance between texture and noise when compared to the previous generation iPhone. Overall, in terms of still image quality, the iPhone 15 made a significant step forward, besting its predecessors in almost every photo test trait. The combination of Apple's HIC image files and embedded HDR data produced stunning results when viewed on a custom display. Image results were stunning in the Photo app on macOS Sonoma on the XDR display and the Photos app on the iPhone 15 display alike, with displays brighter and more vibrant than ever before. However, users of displays, Devices or apps that don't support Apple's HDR image format will only see JPG images without the HDR effect. Exposure and color are the two main characteristics of technically good photos. For exposure, the main characteristic that is evaluated is the brightness of the main subject through different use cases such as landscapes, portraits or still life. Other factors that are evaluated are contrast and dynamic range. For example, the ability to provide visual detail in both bright and dark areas of the image. Repeatability is also important because it demonstrates the camera's ability to provide the same view when taking multiple photos of the same scene. For color, the image quality attributes analyzed are skin tone rendering, white balance, color shading, and repeatability. For color rendering and skin tone, we penalize unnatural colors but respect the manufacturer's choice of color signature. Autofocus tests focus on focus accuracy, focus repeatability, shooting time delay, and depth of field. Shooting delay is the difference between the time the user presses the capture button and the time the photo is actually taken. This includes focusing speed and the device's ability to capture images at the right time, which is called no shutter lag capability. Even if a shallow depth of field is pleasing for a portrait of a single subject or a close-up shot, it can also be problematic in some specific circumstances such as group photos. Both positions are tested. Focus accuracy is also evaluated in all real-life images captured, from infinity to close-up subjects and in low light to outdoor conditions. Texture tests analyze the level of detail and texture of subjects in images captured in the laboratory as well as in real-life scenarios. For landscape shots, special attention is paid to the level of detail in the bright and dark areas of the image. Objective measurements are performed on chart images captured under different illumination conditions from 1 to 1000 lux and different types of dynamic range conditions. The charts used are the Special Excimark, DMC, chart and the Dead Leaves chart. Noise tests analyze different noise attributes such as density, color, granularity, and structure in real-world images as well as chart images captured in the laboratory. For natural images, special attention is paid to noise on faces and landscapes, but also on dark areas and high dynamic range conditions. Noise on moving objects in natural images is also evaluated. Objective measurements are made on chart images taken at different conditions from 1 to 1000 lux and different types of dynamic range conditions. The chart used is the Dead Leaves chart and the standardized measurement is visual noise derived from ISO 15739. The effects assessment looks at lens vignetting, chromatic aberrations, geometric distortions, edge ringing, halos, ghosting, quantum, and unexpected hue shifts, among other types of possible unnatural effects on images. The more severe and more frequent the effects are, the greater the points deduction on the score. The main effects observed and corresponding loss of points are listed below. Focus tested in one dedicated mode, typically portrait or aperture mode, and analyzed by visual inspection of all images captured in the laboratory and in natural conditions. The goal is to reproduce portrait images similar to those taken with a DSLR and a wide aperture. The most important image quality features paid attention to are depth estimation, artifacts, blur gradient, and bokeh highlights. Portrait image quality attributes, exposure, color and texture, are also taken into account. Preview tests analyze image quality in the camera app's preview of an image, paying particular attention to the difference between capture and preview, especially regarding dynamic range and bokeh effect application. Smoothness of exposure, color, and focus adjustment are also evaluated when zooming from the lowest zoom factor to the maximum zoom factor available. Preview frame rate is measured using the global LED timer. The Apple iPhone 15 comes with an ultra-wide camera module, but not a dedicated telephoto camera. Alternatively, the 48MP primary quad parser camera offers similar optical zoom capabilities up to a 2x telephoto zoom factor, equivalent to a 52mm lens. Using digital methods, a magnification factor of up to 10x is achieved. Just as with the iPhone 15 and other HDR video-enabled devices we've previously tested, a compatible HDR display is required to see the full potential of an HDR display. Please note that YouTube only displays native HDR viewing if videos are watched on a compatible HDR display. Otherwise, compressed SDR video is displayed. We tested the Apple iPhone 15's video mode at 4K resolution, a variable frame rate of 60 fps, and Dolby Vision activation for the included HDR data. This configuration yielded exceptional video results, exceeding the performance of previous flagship Apple models. Video exposure and color rendition remain remarkably consistent across a range of recording conditions, and noise levels were better managed compared to previous device generations. Autofocus performance was excellent, even in low light, and video stabilization was among the best currently on the market. iPhone 15 shares the top video exposure score with iPhone 15 Pro, thanks to the beautifully managed HDR format, which delivers an ultra-wide dynamic range, exceptionally stable exposure, and smooth exposure transitions, even in low-light scenes. The iPhone 15 outperforms most of its competitors in terms of color. White balance tended to produce slightly warm results indoors and in low light, but skin tones were accurately represented, and the overall color rendition was very satisfactory. Our testers also noticed some fluctuations in white balance, but they were very rare. Because the iPhone 15 was tested at a higher frame rate than usual, 60 fps, texture scores were slightly lower than competitors. A slight loss of detail was noticeable at times, especially when recording indoors or in low light. Video noise is improved compared to the Apple 14 series, with significant improvements in low light conditions. The well-controlled video noise in the HDR video format is one of the biggest strengths of the iPhone 15's video mode. In terms of video stabilization, our testers found the iPhone 15 to be on par with most current flagship devices equipped with a stabilized main camera module. Camera shake was effectively countered but was still a little noticeable. Frame sharpness was more consistent than on the iPhone 14 Pro. The higher frame rate of 60 fps on the iPhone 15 helped reduce unwanted artifacts, especially the shake effect that tends to affect panorama shots. However, some typical minor artifacts, such as aliasing, flare, and texture shifting, can be observed in low light conditions. While these effects had a very limited impact on overall video quality, flare effects may pose a greater challenge to videographers. At the end of the video, I thank you for watching and I hope you liked it, and see you in a new video.